Are you planning on making a move here in Calgary? Well, you might want to consider buying an infill. We're going to talk about what an infill is, the pros and cons to living in an infill, right after this on this episode of Moving Up. Hey everybody, my name is Jared Chamberlain and I am here today with the wonderful Erin Dupont.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so Erin is like an expert in infills.
I've spent a lot of years living in an infill.
A lot of infill years.
A lot of infill years.
So how long have you lived in infills for?
So a total of 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of years.
I was calculating before coming and
That is a lot of years.
It's been 13 years.
Crazy. So,
yes.
A lot of people ask, like, what is an infill? We hear this word in Calgary a lot more, I think, than other cities too. But what is your definition? And we can chat about it. But what is your definition of what an infill is?
Yeah. So usually they're built in established communities where a builder removes the existing home and does a new build, potentially putting two houses where one previously was existing.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times those lots are typically 50 foot wide.
Yeah.
So a lot of the old lots in inner city, right?
Yeah.
Calgary are 50 by 110, 120, and they have a zoning of R2 in Calgary, anyways. So that zoning allows two dwellings on one unit or one plot of land.
Yes.
And so when we have that plot of land, sometimes builders will also buy up two houses. Now they have 100 feet of frontage and they can divide that into 30s.
Yes.
So 30-foot lots roughly, right?
Yes.
And when they do that, you can have attached or detached. So there's a couple different ways of infills that way too, right?
And there's different ways. If you do attach, people don't realize you're actually gaining width in the interior of the home.
That's right.
Because you don't have the space between the two. It is really important to pay attention, though, to obviously the construction materials. And there are different designs and different levels of builders as well. So it's really important if you are doing that route to explore those.
Totally. No, that's true. So we're going to talk today about the pros and the cons, your 13 years experience of living in infills. We've got a lot of good things to cover. So let's start with the pros. What is the first pro of living in an infill?
The number one location. The number one pro is location.
Totally.
Location.
Yeah.
That is why ultimately we live where we do and why we have chosen to live in an infill. Yeah.
Well, and typically they're in very established areas. So they've got tons of parks, tons of trees, tons of amenities.
Yes.
You had the cool restaurants before anyone else in the city. Like that's kind of how that works, right?
We always get the coolest coffee shops.
Yes.
First, the coolest
Check.
yoga studios.
Check.
Boutique gyms.
Check.
Susha,
nail salons.
It always starts first in the inner city.
That's true.
So my morning walk is I get to walk the dog to a amazing off-leash dog park overlooking the city with an river park
and the river,
in the southwest, Sandy Beach, and then we go to Monogram Coffee for a coffee, and that's my morning routine, which I love. Yeah,
that's actually really cool.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good. And the second one, the second pro is less shoveling and less yard work. So tell us about that.
Well, you have a smaller space, obviously a smaller yard, and so you don't have to spend as much time on those tasks.
That's right.
So for us as a family, my husband and I, we don't enjoy spending 4 hours on yard work on a Saturday. We'd rather be doing different activities. We'd rather be biking, hiking. So living in an infill gives you more time to do the things that you love.
That's true. Well, that actually is the next one, is creates more time for you.
Yes.
And you just spoke to that because all of a sudden, if you don't have to manage the house, and the houses are newer too.
Yes.
So you don't have to actually start like replacing windows and planning for roofs and planning for fixing this, that, whatever, right? Like all of that stuff is just easy.
Yeah, you don't have the maintenance that you do in other homes. So we actually don't spend much time at all on maintaining our home or maintaining our yard because it is a new build and
Yeah.
It is smaller.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. So the other one, so the fourth one, so there's the three. So we have location, we have less yard work, and less shoveling too. We didn't talk about that, but obviously if it's smaller, you just have less to shovel, which every Calgarian is going to love. Create more time outside of the home. And the fourth one is the feeling of community with others. Now, this was kind of hard for us to put words around, but describe, like in the summer, having your morning coffee. What is that like? Because this is what we're talking about.
So there's just an energy in the neighborhood, a vibrancy, a sense of community in that you're close to your neighbors. And maybe that isn't for everybody. However, it is for a lot of people. A lot of people live off that positive energy. Yeah. If you drive down my street in Altadore in particular, you'll notice over the last few years, almost every house has built some form of a front veranda or front flagstone patio. And you'll see groups of people either having beers at night, even little fire pits out front. They have the option to sit in their backyard, but they're all choosing now to be actually in their front yard and engaging with their neighbors. It's amazing.
Well, and that's really interesting because you have all the trees. All the trees are in the front. They usually don't have any in the back. In infills, and so now you're a part of it. It feels like a much bigger space than between your house and your garage. Yeah, right, which is really cool.
Yeah, it really is, and you get to know more people, and you're closer. There's just more energy. Yeah. You don't feel as alone, I guess.
You don't feel as alone. Those are the words from COVID. So good. So okay, so those are some 4 good pros. Hopefully those help you in understanding a little bit about this infill culture. Now, what are the cons? Because there's always negatives to every positive. Yes. So what is the first con that we have?
Definitely number 1, less square footage.
Especially for your dollar.
Yes, for your dollar. Ultimately, you need to be really smart in the way the house is designed. You need to have really good storage solutions, really good planning to utilize the space properly. Yeah. That's really important. But if you are somebody that really loves a huge amount of space, maybe an infill isn't the right thing for you.
Yeah. Well, you are giving up again, location. So you could get a much bigger house for the same price in a suburb. Yes. But then you have commuting. So if you don't want to commute, this is an option. Yes. And using that less square footage is a pickup.
One of the things that made our decision in living in infill is we don't need as much square footage, but we do love to have nice things. I do. I love having, we have, nice tile and nice things in the house. However, the way that we can afford those things is by having less square footage.
Right. Yeah, no, that's really cool. And so the second one is, we kind of touched on it already a little bit, but compared to other properties, you typically have smaller yards between your house and your garage. And for us, when we were making a move, or when we have moved in the past, we had to make a decision, and we chose to not live in an infill, and we moved somewhere else where it was more established, bigger yard, because we wanted to keep the trampoline for the girls, and we wanted to be able to have another space. And if in an infill, we just wouldn't be able to do that. It would take up a lot of that space. So smaller yards are kind of a hard thing.
They are. We have a big dog.
Right.
But something we love, and it is a compromise. We walk our dog.
It gets you out.
It gets us out. We love walking. It gets us, our legs moving. Yeah. But we don't have the big yard to just open the door and let our dog exercise herself on her own. So it is a compromise, and it is something you have to be willing to give up.
Yeah. And another thing is not having an attached garage. I would say, unless you're in the big detached, 3,300 square foot detached infill with a drive under garage or something, it's pretty rare to have an attached garage with an infill, right?
Yes. So what I am noticing is on corner lots often, the corner lots, they are sometimes allowing a attached garage to be built. What they do is they have the house, and then they do kind of a breezeway, which ends up being a mud room towards the back. detached, well, what would be detached, it becomes attached through this breezeway. Those are happening on corner lots. Now in the inner city. So if it is a must for you, if you tell me I need an attached garage, we would focus on those corners. Yeah.
Of options. That's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah.
And the last con, but what I do love is you're turning every con into a positive. so that's okay. That's okay. That's good. Erin is one of the most positive people you'll ever meet, and I feel like she's having a hard time just saying negative things about infills.
I don't know, because I feel like everything that is a negative to somebody is a positive to me. And I feel like I can take all of these negative things, like for example, smaller yards. Well, it means my husband does not have to waste an hour mowing the lawn, which he hates doing. So for him, it's a win.
Yeah.
But for other people, they love mowing the lawn, so they would hate living in an infill.
That's true. And for me, I've got my daughter to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to mow the lawn either. So I pay her and she learns about some hard work. Anyways. Okay. But the fourth con that we have, I know from our own experience for the last, 17, 18 years of selling houses and dealing with builders and dealing with all this kind of stuff, there is a vast range of quality and even just, I don't want to say ethical, but just how things are managed.
Yes.
A wide range of builders that have built these properties. We have had some horror stories where there was pipes left in the ground and it flooded their basement and it was just left there and no one disclosed it. And how would you ever know? To some of the most incredible properties that are just stunning and pristine and just amazing, right?
Yeah.
So how did you guys choose your builder?
So through references, through word of mouth, and through doing research. Ultimately, it's really important that you work with somebody reputable, and that's where a realtor can come in, or if you want, you can do your own legwork. However, doing proper research, due diligence, and reaching out to people who have built with that builder, asking for references from the builder, finding out the name. If it is a resale, asking who the builder was, 10 years ago, helps a lot as well.
Another great tip is also ask the builder some of their past builds and then go to those houses, because there's nothing more than someone who's like, they can come see my house. Like people love showing off their houses, right? So don't be afraid to go and ask the builder, say, can I see other houses you've built in the last couple of years? How are they standing up? Or maybe there's stuff, I know there was in Hillhurst, there was a property we were looking at a long time ago, and the builder said, well, there's another one that I built 6 years ago that's back on the market. You should go look at that one and see how my quality stands up. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's
and
like,
you want to you want a builder who's proud of their work, right? And if they are, they're gonna want to show it off, and they'll be open to sharing all those things with you.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
So there you have it. So those are our 4 pros, 4 cons for living in an infill in Calgary. And the last thing we want to talk about is something that I think everyone has this hesitation on, is proximity to neighbors, right? If you are moving inner city, there's more people. That's just how it works. And if you're moving into an infill, you could have a fence where barbecues are on either side, and that may or may not work for you. And at the end of the day, you have to choose what is the right feel for you. So I don't know, how do you help people guide through, should they buy an infill or should they just not?
Well, people usually are pretty quick to say, no, that's not for me. I enjoy having the proximity to our neighbors. We have a great relationship with both neighbors on either side. Yeah. We actually take turns cutting the front grass of our neighbors. So we'll do it, then a week later they'll do it. So things like
That's
that.
Even more free time.
Yeah, I know. But you have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are people that say, nope, I want my space. Then I would direct them to a neighborhood, either on the outskirts or maybe even in Springbank or Foothills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. No, that is good. So hopefully this has been helpful for you, and you got some great insights on how to consider building or buying an infill. And again, there's always the option of trying to find a lot and then building it yourself with a builder too. Or going to a builder first, they might have lots that they kind of are just holding and they can build on as well. So there's many options for infills in Calgary, and it might be the right option for you. So if it is, we would love to help you out and get you into a property. And so you can reach us at info@chamberlaingroup.ca. You can always reach out to Erin directly at Erin, ERIN, at chamberlaingroup.ca. And so that's what we have for you guys today. So hopefully this has been helpful. Comment below. Do you love infills? Do you hate infills? Let us know. We're going to see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.